Canada is a land shaped by ice, wind, and time, an immense country where wilderness still stretches farther than the eye can see. And at the heart of this wilderness lies one of Canada's greatest treasures, its national parks. These protected lands are more than just scenery. They are living ecosystems, cultural touchstones, wildlife sanctuaries, and windows into the deep history of the earth. Today, on Canadian Village, we journey across thousands of kilometers, from the rugged Pacific coast to the quiet Atlantic shores, from the towering Rocky Mountains to the wide open prairies, and all the way to the frozen Arctic. This is the story of Canadian national parks, and why they matter to the world. Imagine beginning your journey in the Canadian Rockies, where Banff National Park stands like a crown jewel. As the oldest national park in Canada, Banff has become a symbol of natural beauty recognized around the globe. You arrive in early morning when the sun has just started to paint the mountain tops with warm shades of gold. The air smells of pine, crisp and clean, and the distant call of a loon echoes across the water. Lake Louise sits perfectly still, reflecting glaciers that cling to the mountains like frozen waves. Millions of visitors travel here each year, but somehow the place still feels peaceful, like the mountains are whispering stories that have existed long before humans. Banff is home to an extraordinary range of wildlife. From grizzly bears wandering through valleys in search of berries, to bighorn sheep climbing steep cliffs with seemingly effortless grace, every creature has adapted to survive in these rugged landscapes. The park is also a place of science and preservation. Researchers study shrinking glaciers, the effects of warming temperatures on alpine ecosystems, and the complex behavior of animals living alongside humans. One of the most impressive conservation successes here is the creation of wildlife corridors, engineered paths and bridges that allow animals to safely cross highways. These structures have saved countless wildlife and are now models for conservation worldwide. A short drive north takes you into Jasper National Park, where the wilderness stretches even wider and the sense of space becomes almost overwhelming. Jasper is the largest national park in the Canadian Rockies and one of the last truly wild mountain areas on Earth. The Columbia Icefield sits like a frozen ocean atop the Rockies, feeding rivers that eventually flow into three different oceans, the Pacific, the Arctic, and the Atlantic. When you stand on its surface, listening to the distant cracking of ice beneath your boots, you can feel the age of the world beneath your feet. Every gust of wind seems to carry the weight of centuries. Jasper transforms completely after sunset. It is one of the world's largest dark sky preserves, a place where the stars can shine without competition from city lights. Looking up, the Milky Way appears as a glowing river stretching across the sky. On some nights, the northern lights dance in shifting shades of green and purple. Visitors sit quietly on lake shores or mountain lookouts, watching the sky as if witnessing a cosmic performance meant just for them. Here, the night reminds you how small we are and how vast the universe truly is. Leaving the mountains behind, the landscape softens as we travel east toward the prairies. Grasslands National Park in Saskatchewan is unlike any other. At first glance, it may seem simple, rolling golden fields stretching endlessly toward the horizon, but the details reveal a world full of life. This is one of the few remaining areas of native prairie left in Canada, a fragile ecosystem home to species that have disappeared from most of North America. The wind moves through the tall grasses, creating waves that ripple like water. Prairie dogs pop out from their burrows, chirping warnings to their neighbors. Pronghorns, the fastest land animals in the Western Hemisphere, sprint across the flats with incredible speed. And in the distance, massive plains bison roam freely once again, thanks to a decades-long successful reintroduction. As the sun sets, the sky glows with colors so vivid they don't look real, deep purples, fiery oranges, soft pinks. With almost no light pollution, night here becomes a spectacular display. You can see shooting stars, satellites drifting silently, and constellations shining as brightly as they did hundreds of years ago. Standing there, you begin to understand why the first peoples of this land, including the Blackfoot and Cree, developed rich stories and spiritual traditions connected to the sky. Traveling further east, the scent of the ocean begins to fill the air as we reach the Atlantic region. Here lies Cape Breton Highlands National Park in Nova Scotia, a place where mountains meet the sea in dramatic fashion. The Cabot Trail, one of the world's most scenic drives, twists along cliffs that drop sharply into the Atlantic Ocean. The waves crash powerfully against the rock below, sending white foam into the air. On some mornings, fog rolls in from the sea, wrapping the cliffs in a mysterious veil. As the fog lifts, you may spot bald eagles soaring over the coastline or moose standing quietly among the spruce trees. Now travel west, across the country to the rugged Pacific coastline. On Vancouver Island lies Pacific Rim National Park Reserve, a place where rainforests meet the ocean in a dramatic clash of ecosystems. Giant trees tower above you, cedars and spruces so massive that it takes several people to wrap their arms around them. Ferns blanket the forest floor in a soft green carpet, and mist hangs in the air, giving the forest an almost magical quality. The sound of the ocean is never far away. Waves crash onto rocky shores, and driftwood logs, some as long as buses, lie scattered along the beaches, tossed ashore by winter storms. Along the famous West Coast Trail, every step reveals a new challenge and a new wonder. Hikers cross suspension bridges, climb ladders attached to cliffs, and walk across beaches filled with tide pools and marine life. This trail was once used to rescue shipwreck survivors along what was called the Graveyard of the Pacific. Today, it is a journey that tests endurance and rewards those who complete it with some of the most stunning scenery in the world. Further north still, you reach one of Canada's most culturally significant protected regions, Gwaihana's. This combination of National Park Reserve, Marine Conservation Area, and Haida Heritage Site is co-managed with the Haida Nation. The Haida people have lived here for millennia, shaping and protecting the land with deep knowledge and respect. Ancient totem poles remain standing in places like Esgang, telling stories of families, spirits, and history. The forests of Haida Gwaii have species found nowhere else, shaped by the island's isolation and powerful Pacific winds. Kayaking through these waters, you may see whales passing beneath your boat or sea lions barking from rocky outcrops. The connection between culture and nature here is inseparable. Journeying into northern Canada, the environment shifts dramatically. The trees become smaller, then disappear entirely as tundra takes over. This is where Oyuitik National Park in Nunavut begins, one of the most remote and stunning places on Earth. Its name means, the land that never melts, a reference to the vast glaciers and ice fields that dominate the landscape. Granite mountains rise straight from the ground like giant stone walls. Hiking through Oyuitik is a powerful experience, not because of what you see, but because of what you feel. The silence is deep. The scale is overwhelming. The Arctic sun, shining for nearly 24 hours a day in summer, creates long shadows that stretch across the ground as if time moves differently here. Further west in the Arctic, Ivavik National Park in the Yukon tells a story of wildlife and culture intertwined. This was the first national park in Canada created through an Indigenous land claim agreement. The Inuvialut people, whose history spans thousands of years in this region, share management of the park. The porcupine caribou herd travels through this landscape on one of the longest land migrations of any animal on Earth. Watching thousands of caribou moving across the mountains is like witnessing a living river. Their journey sustains not only ecosystems but the cultural traditions of the Inuvialut and Gwich'in communities. Canada's national parks are also home to some of the world's most significant lakes and rivers. In Yoho National Park, Emerald Lake glows with a vibrant blue color caused by glacial particles suspended in the water. Kootenay National Park is home to dramatic canyons and steaming mineral hot springs. All these waters play a crucial role in shaping landscapes and supporting wildlife. They also serve as important indicators of environmental change. Scientists monitor water temperature, clarity, and flow patterns to understand how climate change is affecting ecosystems. Wildlife across Canada's national parks is as diverse as the landscapes themselves. In coastal regions, sea otters float on their backs among kelp forests, while whales breach and dive in the open ocean. On the prairies, burrowing owls, rattlesnakes, and swift foxes all play important roles in the delicate balance of nature. In the forests, black bears forage for berries, wolves travel in tightly bonded packs, and beavers reshape waterways with their engineering skills. Some parks, like Wood Buffalo National Park, protect the last remaining wild bison populations and the world's largest inland delta. Every animal and plant contributes to an intricate ecological story. These parks are also important cultural landscapes. Indigenous peoples have lived in and cared for these lands for thousands of years, long before the creation of the national park system. Today, many parks are co-managed with Indigenous nations, integrating traditional knowledge with modern science. This approach honors the cultural significance of the land while ensuring a sustainable future for the parks. As climate change accelerates, national parks have become vital places for scientific research. Glaciers are melting more quickly than ever before. Species are moving to new territories. Forests are growing or shrinking due to changing weather patterns. Scientists study these changes to predict how ecosystems may adapt in the coming decades. Parks act as living laboratories, helping researchers understand global environmental processes. But beyond science and conservation, Canada's national parks offer something deeply personal. They provide peace, adventure, beauty, and a chance to escape from busy modern life. Whether you're paddling across a quiet lake at sunrise, hiking through a moss-covered forest, or standing on a cliff watching waves crash far below, something inside you changes. You begin to understand your place in the world a little more clearly. You begin to appreciate the quiet strength of nature and its ability to heal, inspire, and remind us of what truly matters. For travelers, these parks offer endless opportunities. You can explore alone or with family, take long hikes or short strolls, camp under a sky full of stars, or simply sit quietly and watch the world around you. Each park has something unique to offer, its own story, its own atmosphere, its own unforgettable moments. Canadian Village exists to bring these stories to you. To share the beauty, the history, the wildlife, and the emotions that these parks inspire. As we continue exploring Canada's national parks together, remember that these places are not just destinations. They are living, breathing landscapes that connect us to nature, to culture, and to each other. Canada's national parks remind us that nature is not separate from us. It is part of who we are. And by protecting these incredible places, we protect our own future. Thank you for joining this journey across Canada's majestic wilderness. The adventure continues, and there is so much more to discover.